Hello, second and third grade friends. So, as always, thank you so much for your artwork. Last week, you guys did a great job. Just remember, think about your camera or your drawing perspective, so your eyes, as either the bird, so either the camera is up high and is the bird to see bird's eye view from above, and either your eyes or the camera is at eye level view, which would be normal view, how you normally see the world. Now, for worm's eye view, your camera or your eyes are down below, and they are either looking out at everything teeny tiny on the ground, or they're looking upwards. So they see everything that's above them. So that's a way to think about it. Think of your camera as either the bird or the worm, okay, or your eyeballs. Anywho, just kind of touching base with that. As a reminder, okay, weeks 16, 17, 18, 19 are open until next week. They will close the 24th. This week will be open until the end of the marking period. So now it's time for the fun. Get your art bags out. And on your in your art bags, you have the stop form. We may use the back of this paper at some point in time, so don't worry about putting anything on it. But the stop paper says this art bag is for art class only. Please have this bag with you for art class. Please write your name on the line below and always keep this paper in your bag. You will use these supplies in our art lessons. Love, Mrs. Friendlinger. So please make sure you write your first name and your last name here. That way too, if you leave your bag somewhere, or like maybe you go to a daycare or something, they know whose it is. So that's number one. Then, I'll get to all this fun stuff in just a second. You also have your paint. We're not going to use it today, but you have that. We have a straw. Please don't put your mouth on it right now. I made sure when I put these in, I held it from the middle. If Mom, Dad does not appreciate that, we'll talk about the straw at some other point. Don't use it to drink anything at the moment. We will be using it to blow paint later on. You have a strip of paper. That's going to be your bookmark. Everybody's strip of paper is a little bit different because they're extra strips of paper. Okay, now on to the fun part. You were given a color swatches of paint. Okay, we will be using them for a project at some point. Just put that aside at the moment. You would have 3 pieces of thin paper. Okay, this is drawing paper. And we'll tell the difference between the drawing and the painting paper in just a second. This here, okay, it might be brown on one side for some of you and white on the other side, or it might just be a piece of cardboard. You are given a piece of cardboard because we are going to construct something, a 3D object at some point. So that will be coming up. Make sure you hold on to that. Now, you were given a stronger piece of paper and 3, I believe 3, half sheets of paper. Now, if you feel this, compared to this paper, it's a little bit thicker. It's stronger. This one flops a lot more than this one does. Okay, it actually makes a different sound. Okay, this has like a higher pitch to it. Anywho, so this is your drawing paper. We're going to write D's on those. And this is your painting paper. We're going to put G's as in girl or good. Okay, so what I'm asking you to do is get a pencil. If you don't have a pencil, get another writing implement and simply write a G like this in the corner. I did a capital G because it's a little bit easier to see. Okay? And then after you label all 4 of your papers, so your 3 half sheets and your 1 big sheet with the G's, it is on to your drawing paper, the thinner paper, okay? Now, why are we labeling these? Because the good paper is thicker. It is for paint. If you were to paint the drawing paper, you will most likely, without a doubt, put a hole in your drawing paper because it's not strong enough to hold watercolor or not strong enough to hold paint. The good paper, the G paper, is painting paper. It is sturdy enough that it will hold the paint. However, if you go over the one spot too many times, you could possibly make a hole in it. And we'll get onto that in just a second. So the first thing I'd like to do today is I'd like you to get your small half sheet of paper, and we are going to prep it for next week. So get that, put it aside. You will need to put your drawing papers and your painting papers back inside the bag, your cardboard, your palette, your bookmark, in the bag, your paint, your straw, and your purple paper in the bag. My suggestion, you are going to need to use a crayon next week or multiple crayons. If you have a crayon, put that inside the bag so you have it for next week. If you don't have any crayons and you happen to have a birthday candle, put that inside the bag for next week. If you don't have any candles and you don't have any crayons for next week, it's okay. You can either just use the pencil, which is fine. It might be a little bit trickier for you, but you can do it. And you also have the option of using maybe a marker. I suggest like a Sharpie or something like that, or just leaving it as pencil, okay? Again, it might be a little bit harder for you guys, but if you use the crayon, it'll be a little bit easier next week. So I just popped that in my bag. Now, I'm going to show you the demonstration so that we can get ready for next week and your artwork.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so you're going to take that half sheet of paper that you have a G on, and we're going to use that. I like to write my name. I put a dash or a minus sign, and I write my name right next to it. You should write your name. Don't write my name. Then I'm going to flip it over. Next thing, I'm going to draw some lines on here. Before I draw lines or show you where to put the lines, I'm going to very quickly go through some lines. We're going to make a scalloped line, and my suggestion is do the scallops big. You also might know this as a bumpy line, but the big kid word is scalloped. So don't do teeny tinies, it's going to take forever. Do scalloped. But here's a weird, wacky scallop line in case you want to get a little funky. Okay? Then your regular zigzag line. It's a straight line, but we add some corners in there. Don't do it teeny tiny. It'll be a pain in your rear end. Here's another fun way to do a zigzag line. It's like an electric line. So they're both still zigzag lines. Now, a wavy line. A wavy line, and we're going to look at these real quick because a lot of my friends tend to get these two confused. A wavy line is very different from a scallop line or a bumpy line. Notice how a scallop line points together, whereas a wavy line is a wave here, and then it's a wave on the bottom too, or a hill and then another hill. I like to call it a hill and a valley. This just has a hill. There is no valley here. Again, I made nice big waves. I didn't do teeny tinies, okay, or teeny tinies here. Here's a fun one that I swapped it up a little bit. I did a big one, I added some teeny tinies, and then I made them bigger and smaller. So, just to give you an idea, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to make 3 different lines. I only showed you 3 different types of lines. I showed you a wavy line, a zigzag line, and a scalloped line or bumpy line. So what I'm going to do is notice that my paper is being held landscape style. I'm going to find 2 spots on here that would probably cut this equal. Now if I put 2 spots here, well, I have this huge space here and 2 small spaces if I make a line there. Nah, that's not going to work out so well. So what if I did there? No, that's not going to work out too well either. So, and let me try to help us out a little bit. Okay, that's not going to work. That's not going to work because this is super skinny. What if I brought this in a little bit and I brought this in a little bit? Does that look about even here, here, and here? I think so. So I'm going to put a little dot up top and a little dot up top. From here, I'm going to make 2 lines down here. Now, if they don't come straight down perfectly, that is okay. It's a line, all right? So the first line I'm going to do is my wavy line. And again, I can make it wave however I want. I'm going to just wave like that. And notice this one's a little bit bigger than these. That's perfectly fine. The next line I'm going to do, well, I'll let you guys pick. Which one do you want? I'm going to do my scallop line, but if you guys decided you wanted to do the zigzag, go for it. So, I'm doing a bump, and then I'm going to do a little bump, but I don't want too many little bumps. And there you go. Made it interesting. A little bit different from both of these scallop lines. Looks like I've got M's and W's in there. So now I want to do my zigzag line. Easiest thing is I'm going to cut this in half. Don't use scissors. I'm just like we figured out here. I want a line going right across. The best way to do that, in my opinion, is to make this portrait style. Find the spot that is in between your corners, right in the middle. Does that look like it's in the middle? I think so. So, what you're going to do is you're going to put that little dot or hash line, and we're going to make a zigzag line. And again, my zigzag line is going to look kind of like mountains or like a heartbeat line. Maybe not quite a heartbeat. Kind of crazy like that. So you'll notice that we have some spaces in here. Those spaces are going to be important next week. This is why I didn't ask you to do loop-de-loo lines. Loop-de-loo lines tend to make too many spaces, and it's going to be very tricky for you. So that's why I did this. If you have too many little tiny lines and next week you have issues, we can always do it on the back. No worries, okay? So, boys and girls, everyone's is going to look different. Last thing you're going to do when you're all done is take that beautiful picture and put it inside your bag for next week. And don't forget, if you have a crayon or a few crayons that you would like to use for next week, maybe pop them in your bag so you don't have to worry about not having crayons with you when you work on your artwork for next week.
All right, boys and girls, so I hope you are ready for our artwork next week. You made your awesome line pictures. Thank you so much. Hold on to them for next week when we paint. Please do not paint this week. I'm going to show you special techniques to use with the paint next week, okay? Right now, I'd like you, once you're done with that, to hit the next button here, the green next button, and you may go into my Bitmoji classroom. On the bookshelf, there are plenty of photography books. So you can explore another photographer that we talked about photography last week. Explore another photographer, listen to the book. When you're all done, click the number 2. And you can pick your favorite artwork and share which artwork is your favorite. See you next week, guys!